Think of it as an onion. Hi my creative fellas, welcome to another crazy episode of mine. As you might have guessed already by the title of the video, today I'm going to show you how to paint any, and I mean any kind of crazy hairstyle. It's just a very basic thing that you need to repeat and practice to grasp. I already have another tutorial on painting hair. I'm gonna link it right here. You can rewatch that one first if you want to. But today I'm gonna go over the same things but explain it a little further so you can understand it a little better. Hopefully you're gonna be able to paint some cool hairstyles for yourself after watching this video. So let's get into it. As you're painting any kind of hairstyle, I need you to think of an onion. Yes, you heard me. It's just like an onion. Just like an onion has many different layers that lay on top of each other and shape the form of the onion, so does the hair. Hair has many layers that are laying on top of each other and give the hair volume and form. But what's more important than this is that you need to consider it in a world where there is light, which means the bottom layers are darker and the top layers are brighter, and you need to paint this accordingly. The bottom layers you need to paint with low value and the top layers you need to paint with high value. Let me show you in practice. This is the photo that we're gonna be working with today. It's a very nice photo of me that I have taken for a project that I've done recently. It's a photo manipulation and I published it on my Instagram page a few days ago. If you want to check it out, link in the description. Follow my Instagram page, it'll help a lot. There's a lot of cool stuff over there. If you're not following, you're really missing out. Instagram algorithm sucks these days, so that'll be a huge help. Now let's get to the main point. We're going to be painting hair for this guy. And as I said, painting hair is kind of like an onion. It is layered. You need multiple layers to paint a realistic hair. Now, don't get confused. This doesn't mean that you need to create multiple layers. In fact, that's the exact opposite of what I'm saying. I usually paint hair on just one single layer, or maybe two, to add the highlights. What I'm saying is that you need to get this concept that hair needs to be layered, which means just like the onion, you need to think of it having multiple layers. At the very core of the hair lays the darkest layer, and as you reach the topmost layer, it becomes brighter and brighter until you get to the very bright highlights. This is how you should think of the hair, and how you should approach the painting process of the hair, which I'm going to show you in this video. Now let me zoom in on my face here. You can see the hair. If I grab a color picker and try to sample these different colors, look at that. This is darker and the highlights are much brighter. Actually, there's a hue shift. The hue and the value both change. There are many different levels of value in the hair, and this is what you need to consider when you try to paint any hairstyle. You need various amounts of values and colors to get a realistic result. So what we're going to do is that we're gonna take the same exact principle. I'm going to be painting just with value today, but just know that when you learn this, you can paint in any color. It doesn't really matter. Most of the times I just paint with black and white, and then I convert it to color, like colorize it, hue saturation or something. But I'm going to be painting with black and white today just for the simplicity. And the type of brush that I use to paint the hair actually is a brick brush that I have over here, and I'm going to link this brush down in the description if you want to use it. It looks like this. If I paint with it, you'll see that it has a texture like that. Okay, of course you need a graphic tablet to do this. You can't do it with a mouse, it's gonna be a pain. So right now, grab your drawing tablets, grab this brush, pause the video, link in the description, download it for free, and you'll be on track with me right here. The first thing we need to do is to lay down the darkest value, like the number one layer that we need. Let me just rename this layer hair so we know what it is. I usually start with a value. I never start with black. Let me just say this. It never should be black. Something close to black, something like this. All right, it's a very dark gray color. And my opacity and flow are both at 100%. I will just start painting like this. First, we need to block out the overall shape of the hair. I want the hair to look something like this, make it feel like it's floating, okay? Because I love floating. I have been floating my whole life. I want the hair to look like that. So I'm blocking out the main silhouette of the hair. Now you can erase the extra stuff. I suggest that you use this brush, the same brush as the eraser as well, to kind of maintain that shape and texture. But let's say we want the hair to look like that. Okay, that looks fine. And you can refine it as much as you want. And after you have painted the hair, you can actually go on and, you know, warp it and do all kinds of things with it. Maybe liquefy the hair just to give it a very more nice look. But for now, I guess we'll stick with something like that. I want the middle part to be bigger, okay? Because that's what usually happens. Okay, let's say I want the hair to look like this. Here's the before, here's the after. We're done. I'm kidding. This is the number one layer of the hair. After that, we're going to make this value brighter. Just look at the brightness of this specific type of gray that I have chosen. It's 7%. I'm going to make it a little brighter. I'll go about maybe 12%. Hit OK. And I'll start painting again with the brush. This time I'm giving smaller brush strokes. Okay. When I make my value brighter, my brush strokes get smaller as well. Like I make my brush size smaller. Again, I'm going to pick a brighter value. It was 12%. This time I'm gonna stick with maybe 18%. I wanna make my brush size even a little smaller. And again, start painting like that. It's easier than you think. So we have something like this right now. Okay. Then again, I'll choose a brighter value, maybe about 20-21%, and I'll paint on top. Try to vary my brush strokes so that it's not exactly the same thing, because I don't want to repeat myself. Something like this. When I feel like it's the whole hair is getting too bright, I just hit Ctrl L, bring up the levels, and make the whole thing just darker. Dark enough so I have still enough value to work with. I'll pick this color, make it brighter. Go ahead and paint smaller brush strokes like this. I don't know what kind of crazy hairstyle this is, but this is just for demonstration. Because I wanted to let you know that you can literally paint any type of hairstyle. It doesn't really matter how it looks. Once you get this concept, you can paint anything. Now you can choose a dark tone here and there just to paint and style this a bit more. Maybe I want these two chunks of hair to overlap each other like that. Okay, so they're kind of overlapping right now. Looks better. Okay, now I'm going to grab a brighter value. I'll make my brush smaller and I'll paint thinner brush strokes like this. Throughout the whole process, it kind of feels like a trial and error. You have to decide what looks good and what doesn't and refine it as you go along. This takes lots of practice, but it's easy. And as I said, you can use the warp tool to shape the hair the way you want it. If you didn't get it right the first time you blocked out the silhouette and it doesn't look the way you want it, it's totally okay. After you have painted a good amount of detail, you can get the liquify tool or the warp tool and shape it the way you want. Now then, after you have painted a very basic shape of the hair with enough details, I mean it has details but not so much details, but it's still not so simple, okay? So we're just kind of in the middle. Now it's the time for us to change our brush, and we're gonna grab the default hard round brush in Photoshop, but we need to tweak it a little bit. So we're gonna go to our brush settings and make sure to turn on the shape dynamics and put it to pin pressure. Also, make sure the transfer is on for both opacity and flow, just like you see. And I'll make sure that my opacity and flow are both at 100%. Now we repeat the process. We're gonna sample colors, make it brighter, and paint with our hard round brush. Make sure to make the brush size small. I don't usually go any more than 10 pixels when I'm painting with this brush, and as I move towards the completion of the hair, I make the brush size even smaller and smaller to paint the very fine details of the hair. Well, congratulations! At this point, you have grasped all the concepts and all the knowledge you need to paint some amazing hair. All that is left for you is to just get up and get your graphic tablet and practice drawing and painting some cool hairs. You can use references. I highly recommend that you do use references because painting it from imagination, especially for the very first time, it could be daunting. So use some reference, try to copy the reference, and if it's hard for you to paint in color, turn the reference into black and white so you have more control over the values. As you saw in the video, all that is left is just repetition. It's all the repetition of the previous step. So let's do a little recap. First, we're gonna need to grab the darkest value possible. We lay a basic foundation, aka the silhouette of the hair, then we build up on it by slowly increasing the level of value and laying new layers of the hair on top of each other. And once we have a good amount of detail, we change our brush to the hard round brush and we go ahead and paint the small details just like before. If the hair becomes too bright, make sure to decrease the level of value using levels, curves, or anything. And that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you did, please consider subscribing and liking this video. It'll help me a lot. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you're new to my channel. And also, if you have any ideas for the upcoming future tutorials, let me know in the comments down below. And I hope you have an awesome day. Till next week, take care and peace out.